everybody. Welcome to Why We Love Horror Special Edition, Episode 7. And we're talking about The Crow. And we'll get into all the stuff about how people feel about this movie, but we're talking about The Crow. And I don't want to do the whole freaking, those trailers are 3 minutes long. I don't need to waste any time. Let's get into the politics behind this movie. A lot of people, earlier this year, we had The Strangers drop, and people were clutching their pearls. Like all of a sudden, The Strangers was everybody's favorite movie. Now, people are dropping this remake of The Crow, and even with Bill Skarsgård attached, people are clutching their pearls. Probably more rightfully so because of Brandon Lee's death and the fact that he died making The Crow. I guess if you're taking that angle, I'll let you clutch your pearls. But again, there were very few people I met in the horror community who were dropping The Crow as their favorite film either. So listen, people, if these really are your favorite films, you really need to be more vocal about these films being your favorite films, and then people maybe might not remake them. So you'll avoid your whole existential drama if you would just support your films before they were made. That might happen. But we're talking about this version of The Crow, the Bill Skarsgård version of The Crow. Let me just throw up spoilers because it's probably just a better thing to just get right into spoilers. This is not 1994's The Crow. It is a remake, but it is by no means a remake because I think part of what made 94's The Crow special, if you're going to hold it up as the specialist of special movies, is the crime that Eric and his girlfriend are victims of. While it seems random and senseless, it is more grounded in the sense that it's like a Detroit gang, a small-time Detroit gang, just really fucking around and finding out. Whereas in 2024's The Crow, they're victims of a high-level supernatural conspiracy where a gentleman has been granted the powers to bypass the judgment of heaven and hell and condemn innocent people to hell. And it is a battle against that person. And that seems really, really different in scope. And therein lies my only major issue with The Crow. Aside from all the politics of remaking the movie or making another movie called The Crow, it really is the fact that Danny Houston's character, Mr. Rogue, has powers. They kind of gloss over how he has the power, why he has the power, when he got the power. It's kind of just thrown at you in very uncleared snippets of exposition, but it's just he's a classical music lover, and he finds music proteges, and he enjoys their music, but he doesn't enjoy their music enough to not condemn them to hell, which seems like a weird dichotomy to have, but I digress. So basically, he has the ability to kind of like powerfully suggest in people's ears that they either kill themselves, which I guess is a mortal sin condemning you to hell, or kill other people, which is a mortal sin condemning you to hell. And every time he does this, he gets to, live longer. And but the fact that he kills these two, Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs, Eric Draven and his girlfriend, it was not really his girlfriend, more like an infatuation that happens in the middle of a drug rehab, which I guess is another issue you'd have in this movie, as the love affair seems a little too Romeo and Juliet. But that is powerful enough to send Eric Draven back and forth into limbo, where we meet the other character that kind of teaches him how to use his powers. But it's made very clear when he becomes the Crow that he's still this skinny, kind of like artist type pacifist, and he learns how to fight real quick. Like, he goes from like this guy that can't win a fight, he's getting like killed. I think he basically gets killed a bunch of times in his earlier fights before he kills the people he's fighting. But then when we get to that final action scene, which happens way too late in the movie, he's like this Terminator level badass who's like shooting and stabbing his way through multiple trained security guards on his way to have his final battle with Mr. Rogue, who wasn't even on site at the time. Is this movie bad? It's not bad. It's just like it over-explains things that are obvious and under-explains things that are not obvious. It doesn't develop to the action film we want it to be until way deep into the third act. So you're sitting through a lot of really sappy, forced romance and like gothic level, Edgar Allan Poe poetry level gothic romance in this movie before we get to anything that you really came to see, which is this dude kicking the shit out of bad guys. So let's just jump right into like, if I could fix it, how would I fix it?
I can fix it.
I think you needed to establish Eric Draven as a little bit more of a badass before he gets killed. He doesn't need to be like Rambo or anything like that, but he was I hate that he was not anything intimidating before he died, which makes the third act action really weird. Even though I love to see it and it's very well choreographed, it doesn't fit with the tone of the movie. I think how they portrayed Eric Draven's character really is the downfall of the movie. And not that he was like a total ass kicker in the first movie, but he starts the ass kicking and killing way earlier in that movie. So the one thing you should have ripped off from 94's Crow was how it was paced. But let's get to the rating. Again, I'm not rating this movie like half star or 1 star. I'm not like appalled that this movie was made. I'm not like totally grossed out by like any. It's technically extremely sound. Soundtrack isn't as good as 94's The Crow, but the soundtrack is not bad. The cinematography is good. It's just the story itself is really disjointed. I don't know if that's the editor's fault or the writer's fault. Somebody's to blame here. But again, it turns into a fun time when all is said and done. I'm at a 2.5 out of 5. If you've seen The Crow, let me know what you think in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, covering Strange Darling here on the channel. Myself, Abby, and Aaron will be here. If you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to the Facebook group, Why We Love Horror. Go to the TikTok, WWL Horror. Let me take spoilers off the screen so you can see all my fun stuff. There we go. Remember, schedule's always the same. Mondays versus Tuesday, horror headlines live across all platforms. Wednesday, special editions, you're watching it. Thursday, Why We Love Horror. And Friday, Why We Love Horror Trivia. I appreciate you stopping by for these shorter Why We Love Horror special editions. We'll see you next time.